All right, that was good. Good performance there. And yes, that's right. You were correct. The it was supposed to be the 12th fret, not the 14th. So good eye, good ear. I'm glad you saw that. Sorry, I put in the wrong note. I did something like that with another person last week. Same day. I done goofed twice. Hate doing that. So yeah, you were correct. So glad you saw that. Glad you got it corrected. Scale stuff, everything's perfect there. Very good. Thank you for that. And we're moving on to legato. So when doing this, things to keep in mind: you want to have only the string that you're on ringing out, only the notes you're playing ringing out. So you just got to be careful with like excess noise. It's much more difficult to keep things clean when doing legato. So, but judging by going off of how you've been playing things and how good you already are, I think this will be a fair thing to start with. It may end up being too easy, maybe not. Well, only one way to find out. Um, Basically, your first two bars, you're gonna use your pinky, and then your ring finger, and then your middle, and end it on that E note there. So staying in the key of E minor to further work with those scales that you're working on. So yeah, you did the ascending stuff. So next, yeah, just got to finish going through the descending memorization. And all right, if you reach 240 early on this, go ahead and send stuff over early, and then we can get you the next thing to work on. So again, if you reach 240 before next week, you're welcome to send things early. But yeah, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm about to do 16s. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And speaking of 240, if you want to just try it at 240 and send it over, that's fine too. Legato is a tricky one to know exactly where to start working with, especially sending things back and forth. So yeah, you want to just try 240 and send it over, that's fine too. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. $180. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, chord theory. Glad you like those chords. Yeah, definitely worth using in metal. Absolutely. So this is going to be like we did with other things, where you fill out, the chord progression, going from one to the next, the most efficient way possible. Labeling the modes at the beginning. So we got no sharps and no flats. I think you know what key that is. And basically, you're gonna input things just like where the rest symbols are. So when you had the arpeggio or the arpeggiated chord practice, that's how you want to practice these. But to make it easier to input, we're not going to have you arpeggiate the thing in Guitar Pro. We're just going to put in the chord. Like for example, this one here. You tab out your A5 and then your A minor over C, D5, D minor over over F, C5, C over E, G5, G over B, and then finish with A5, A minor over C, A5. So I gave away the first one. Now, when I do these, I'm just thinking like, where is the root note of where you started? Because once you start venturing off here, changing the bass notes, then you might start thinking, okay, well, I need to keep the next root notes next to the bass note, and I think it can get a little crazy, a little complicated there. So what I'm thinking is the root note you started with, or even like this note, like how do you go from the root note from one chord to the next? Not necessarily the bass note. Yeah, because doing it like that, I feel it just makes it a little bit easier to pay attention to where you're at on the fretboard, in key, and all that stuff. So focus on that. How would you go from the root note, one root note to the next in a nice, efficient way, and then plug the chords in from there? So hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, if you want to send things early on that week, you said you're going to be out, that's fine too. In fact, we might be doing extra stuff anyway, because if you can play that legato thing at 240 right now, I want to get you new stuff sooner, so this way you have something more appropriate for your skill level. So let's see how well you do with that and take it from there. Any questions come up, let me know. I'll see you again in your new videos.